our haunted house. Me and my husband had just bought our first house. The realtor, a woman whose smile didn't quite reach her eyes, handed us the antique brass key with a flourish. "Welcome home," she chirped, her voice echoing slightly in the cavernous hallway. Liam squeezed my hand, his hand a little clammy. After months of searching, we had finally found it, a sprawling Victorian on the outskirts of town, with gables that clawed at the stormy sky, and windows that seemed to stare back with vacant eyes. We'd gotten it for a steal, a fact the realtor had glossed over, with vague murmurs about the previous owners relocating quickly. The inside was just as imposing. Dust mites danced in the slivers of weak afternoon light that pierced through the grimy windows, illuminating peeling wallpaper and shadows that seemed to writhe in the corners of our vision. It had a certain character, Liam had insisted, trying to sound enthusiastic. I'd agreed, mostly because I was too tired of cramped city living to argue. The first few days were a whirlwind of unpacking and cleaning. The house felt cold even with the radiators hissing and clanking. There were drafts that snaked through the rooms, whispering secrets we couldn't understand. We joked about it being an old house settling, the wind playing tricks. But a prickle of unease had already begun to take root in the back of my mind. It started lightly. A floorboard creaking when no one was walking on it. A door swinging shut with a soft click when there was no breeze. I'd mention it to Liam, but he'd usually have a logical explanation. The house was old, the foundations were shifting, the wind was stronger than I thought. Then came the music. A faint, melancholic melody that seemed to drift from the empty nursery on the third floor. It was like an old music box, tiny and sad. I'd stop what I was doing, straining to hear it, but it would always fade away before Liam could. He started to look at me with a worried frown. "Maybe you're just tired, love," he'd say, pulling me into a comforting hug. But I wasn't tired. I was becoming increasingly anxious. The shadows seemed to deepen, to lengthen, to take on indistinct shapes when I wasn't looking directly at them. I started avoiding the long, dark hallways at night, hurrying from room to room. One evening, I was in the kitchen, washing dishes, when I heard it clearly. The music box tune, closer this time, accompanied by a soft humming. My blood ran cold. I dried my hands quickly and crept towards the hallway, Liam engrossed in a book in the living room. The humming stopped as I reached the bottom of the stairs. Silence. "Liam?" I called out, my voice trembling slightly. "Yeah, love," he replied, his voice muffled. I started up the stairs, each creak of the wood sending a jolt of fear through me. The air grew colder as I ascended. The nursery door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open slowly. The room was empty, the only sound was the frantic thumping of my own heart. I was about to turn back when I saw it. A small, wooden music box lay on the floor in the corner, its lid slightly open. I hesitated, then stepped into the room. As I bent down to pick it up, the music started again. The same sad melody, but louder now, clearer. And then I heard it, a child's whisper, right behind me. "Don't leave me." I whirled around, my breath catching in my throat. There was nothing there. Just the empty room, the moonlight, and the relentless, mournful music. I stumbled back, tripping over a rocking horse, and scrambled out of the nursery, slamming the door shut behind me. Liam found me at the bottom of the stairs, pale and shaking. I tried to explain what I'd heard, the music, the whisper, but the words tumbled out in a panicked rush. He held me tight, telling me it was just my imagination, stress getting to me. but I knew what I'd heard. That night, sleep evaded me. Every creak of the house, every rustle of leaves outside the window, sent shivers down my spine. Liam slept soundly beside me, oblivious. I lay there, listening, waiting. Around 3 a.m., the temperature in the room plummeted. A cold spot settled over us, heavy and suffocating. Liam stirred, muttering in his sleep. I held my breath, my eyes wide in the darkness. Then, I heard it again. The music box, faint but distinct, coming from somewhere inside the room. And then, the whisper, closer this time, right beside my ear. "You're in my room." I screamed. Liam jolted awake, startled. "What? What is it?" "The music. The voice." I stammered, pointing towards the corner of the room where the cold seemed most intense. He frowned, listening intently. "I don't hear anything. You must have had a nightmare." But I hadn't. I knew what I'd heard, what I'd felt. The air was still icy around us. The next few weeks were a living nightmare. The occurrences escalated. Footsteps echoing on the empty staircase. Objects moving on their own. The scent of lavender, sweet and cloying, appearing and disappearing without explanation. The music box played more frequently, its sad tune weaving its way through the silence of the house. The whispers became clearer, sometimes calling my name. Liam, initially skeptical, started to witness things himself. A book flying off a shelf. A shadow moving across the hallway. He grew pale and withdrawn, the easygoing man I loved replaced by someone tense and fearful. We tried everything. We smudged the house with sage, consulted online forums about paranormal activity, even had a priest come to bless the house. Nothing worked. The presence, whatever it was, seemed to grow stronger, feeding on our fear. One night, we were in bed when the room turned icy cold. The music box started to play, loud and insistent, right beside our bed. And then, a child's laughter, high-pitched and chilling, filled the room. Liam grabbed my hand, his eyes wide with terror. "We have to get out of here," he whispered. We fled the house that night, leaving everything behind. We didn't stop driving until the first rays of dawn painted the sky. We never looked back. The Victorian house still stands on the outskirts of town, its dark windows staring out at the world. Locals whisper stories about it, about the family who left in the middle of the night, about the sad music that can sometimes be heard on the wind. We never spoke of it again, not really. The memory of the cold, the music, the whispers, remains a chilling presence in our lives, a constant reminder of a house that wasn't just old, but haunted. And sometimes, late at night, when the wind howls outside our new, smaller, infinitely less grand apartment, I swear I can still hear the faint, melancholic melody of a music box and a child's whisper on the breeze. "Don't leave me,"